right, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and go live in just a minute for today's webinar, which is the inside scoop on the fastest way to get a TV producer's attention and take your business global in 2016. So I am so excited to share this with you. I am up early. It's about 8 a.m. here on the East Coast, and I wanted to do this webinar first thing in the morning because I'm really a morning person, and I love being able to get up, especially now with two kids, and kind of get up before everyone else gets up. And I live behind this big green open space with pathways, and I got a chance to go outside this morning and just walk and pray and read some inspirational stuff and just really kind of get my mind together for today. And so I love being able to do that. I feel like I'm my most productive in the morning. And so I wanted to do a webinar first thing in the morning. I know that there are also a lot of people who've been reaching out to me from places overseas, like the UK and things like that. And so I know that their day is so far ahead of ours over here in the States. And so I wanted to go ahead and do something really early in the morning. I know it's 5 a.m. on the West Coast and it's 8 a.m. over here on the East Coast, but I'm really excited about this topic. I love talking about press coverage, and I really am excited to share with you what I know to be the fastest way to get a TV producer's attention, because for me, it's all about, like, for me, time is money. And if I can figure out how to get somewhere like the quickest way, that saves me a lot of heartache and a lot of headache. And so that's what we're really going to be doing today. Is I'm going to give you the quick and easy way to be able to get a television producer's attention and to really take your business global, because that's the name of the game these days. Sometimes I talk to people and they live in these communities that may have a lower medium income range. But what I know is possible is that if you are able to use what we're going to be talking about on this training today, you'll really be able to reach out to an international market. And that's really where we're going as a society. It's no more just the people in your backyard. It's the people that you can reach, in other countries. I just welcomed someone in our program who lives in Nigeria, and it's only possible because of what online mediums are allowing us to do. And so I'm really, really excited to share this topic with you. I did have a nice cup of tea a minute ago, but my little one hijacked it. He's like a tea lover. He can barely say, barely talk, but one of the words he can say is tea, please. And so he just stole my cup of tea. So I got a cup of water nearby. I'm going to keep that close because there's a lot to cover. And I really want to respect everyone's time and really give you value. So good morning. Good morning for those who are joining us here in the US, and for those who are overseas. I know you're midway through your day, but we're going to go ahead and rock and roll. So before we actually dive into the material, I want to just talk a second about how you get the most out of this webinar, because it really makes no sense to come this far and leave not having learned and not having gotten what it is that you came for. So first and foremost, what I want to encourage you to do, actually what I'm going to ask you to do, is to turn off Facebook, aka any other distraction that you got going on. We live in such a crazy world these days where people walk while they're typing on their cell phones and doing 50 million things and multitasking. But what I know to be true in my life and my business is that when I can really get present, when I can really take a second and just focus, that's where I have the most transformation. And that's really where I see the most growth. And so, I want to encourage you to really take this opportunity to shut down Facebook and just really be here with me. We have 60 minutes together, and I really want you to be here with me, because what we're going to be sharing is really going to help you in your business really take things to the next level. I'm not here to give you the fluff. I'm not here to give you just part of the piece of the puzzle. I really want to give you what it is that we talked about as we talked about what we were going to be covering today. And, what I know to be true is that often just at the place where I want to zone out or where I get distracted or where I just don't like kind of tune out, that's the place where the whole thing comes together. And that's the place where typically pieces really pieces really make sense. They really line up. So I want to encourage you to really just be present with me during this webinar. The other thing I want to have you do is go ahead and grab a pen and paper to take notes. Now, I am all about technology. I love being able to like record voice notes. My private clients know like they get voice messaging access to me, and we're able to kind of do a lot of tech stuff to connect. But there's just something that's great about the good old fashioned paper and pen. And so I want you to take notes because I want you to be able to really um, take what we're talking about today and take it with you. There will not be a replay on this webinar. I'm a big believer that those people that show up are the people that are serious about really using this in their business. So I want you to take notes. I want to make sure that you're able to walk away with a solid plan. There's something that happens between the brain and the pen to be able to really get things on a deeper level. And so I want to make sure that you are taking notes. I'll pause right here in case you need to grab a pen and paper, but I want to make sure that you're taking notes. The other thing that I want you to do is engage and ask questions. And, I am going to just, in this case, ask that if you have questions that you go ahead and just shoot me a reply to the email that went out about this, because sometimes things don't flow seamlessly. We actually don't have the chat feature on this webinar. It was an oversight on my team's part, so we don't have the chat today. But I do want to encourage you that if you just want to open up your inbox and just be ready to hit reply on the email if you have a specific question, because this webinar is really your webinar. And so I want to make sure that as we're talking about strategies and we're talking about tools, that you really get how it applies to you and what really relates to you. So I want you to go ahead and just be engaging and ask questions. And then last but not least, just make a decision to apply what we're talking about. I know that if you're like me, you probably get invitations to lots of trainings and lots of webinars, and that it's really easy to just listen to it. But what I find is that it's not the people that, first of all, the fact that you're here says a lot about your commitment to yourself. And so I want to applaud that, because typically, out of 100% of people that receive an invitation, only 50% of people actually show up. And I believe that the people that show up are the people that are really committed. But once you show up, it's going to take more than you just listening to what I talk about and for you to just hear what I'm talking about. It's really going to take you applying what I talk about. And that's one of the reasons why so many people don't have success, is because they listen or they're in the room, but if they're in the room and they don't do anything that's taught, then the ownership's really on you. And so I want to make sure that you are able to take what it is that we're talking about and really apply it. And I'll let you in on another secret. Sometimes people say to me they want to be like Tony Robbins, or they want to be like Oprah, or they even say to me, Jackie, how is it that you've been so successful and you're so grounded and you're so focused? And I will tell you that the reason for those type of people that are doing great things is because they don't just apply it and try it and kind of see if it works. They make a commitment to master it. And so that's what I really want you to go for. I've been watching the Olympics, and that is really a showcase of people who have made a commitment to master their craft. And so if you've been in business and you're like, it's not working, what I'm doing is, I don't have clients, I'm not able to pay to invest in myself because I'm not bringing in money, chances are you need to be one of those people that make a decision to really master your craft. Not to just try it and see if it works, but to really make a decision that it will work for you and that you are going to master it. That is what the Olympians have been able to do. And that's honestly what's been the change in my business. I went an entire year of my business with no clients. no clients. I went a whole year, being visible, being seen, being out there, being more committed than I had ever been committed before. And I had no clients. And part of the reason why was because I did not make a decision to actually master what it is that I needed to master to grow my business. And so I want you to really just take a deep breath with me. And I really want you to make a decision before we even start to delve into this training that you are going to make a decision to apply it and also master what we talk about. Okay. So, with that said, I want to go ahead and dive into the training because there's a lot that we need to cover for this to all come together for you, and I want to make sure that it really hits home. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the fastest way to get a TV or radio producer's attention, and we're going to really use the secrets that are straight from my reporter's handbook. So I am not from a PR background. I am actually bringing you straight from the street, straight from the newsroom, the real deal on what it takes to get a TV or radio producer's attention. Because I can tell you, after getting 100 to 200 emails a day as a television reporter, yes, 100 to 200 emails a day when I was a TV reporter, I know which ones stand out. I know which press releases, which media pitches really hit home and really get our attention. And so I'm going to be sharing with you the fastest way to do that today. I'm also going to talk to you about how to make the most out of free publicity, aka how to get clients from appearing on TV. Because most people get on TV, not most, some people get on TV, but they get on TV and they're like, that really didn't work for me. Nothing happened. And so I want to talk about how you can really make the most out of that free publicity and really get a return on your investment. I'm also going to share with you how to avoid the top mistakes that cost you to miss out on being interviewed by major media outlets. And there are a lot. There are a lot that I've seen. So I'm going to talk to you about how to avoid that. And then for those people that stay with me to the very, very end, because I'm a big believer, like I talked about, you don't just show up, you show up and you see your commitment through. And that's what I'm about. That's why I encourage people. I work with people on a 1-year commitment because it really takes that long to see things through to the end. And so for those people who stick with us to the very end of this webinar, I'm going to reward you with a really great technique that I actually use for my private clients. This technique alone has gotten me a ton of media coverage, and it is the number one thing that you can do to guarantee coverage on any media outlet. And so I've used this technique again and again to be able to get TV producers to show up to events, to be able to make sure that when we send press releases that they actually get picked up and that they actually get covered. Plus, you're going to get an exclusive opportunity for using this and other extremely effective media strategies to boost your business this year. So that's what we're going to cover. I'm all about how to help you get great publicity and great clients the easy way, to take out the mystery and the challenges, and it's going to be a headache to do this mentality, and really help you build your business the easy way, because I know the frustration that it takes when that's not the case. So let me just take a second and introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. If you stumbled on this webinar this morning, you're like, who is this woman with this big smile? My name is Jackie Cote, and I'm a marketing and visibility strategist. And so quite simply, I help people get major media attention, be featured globally, and inspire the world. Over the years, I've been able to get more than 3,000 media features for my clients. And I've really been able to take the core of a business's message and get it out there in front of major media. So that's really my specialty. That's really what I'm known for. I actually have an interesting way of how I got here, and it's from me actually starting out behind the scenes at the network. I worked at Dateline NBC. I worked at ABC's Washington Bureau. I had an opportunity to work on the Capitol and be with one one of the film crews that interviewed politicians and congressmen. I actually have a Barack Obama story where I kick myself in the foot every day because I was leaving the Capitol one day back when he was a senator, and was walking out, and he was on the phone right in front of me talking. And I'm like, oh, that's Barack Obama, the first African American, or not the first, but the African American senator. And I was like, man, I should wait and say hi to him. But I was like, oh, he's on the phone and I'll do it another time. And I'm like, man, if I knew he was going to be president, I would have like stopped and taken a picture and all that. But anyway, that's really my background, is that I spent a lot of time working in production. And then one day, I got a call from a television director, and he asked me to come work as an on-air television reporter. He was like, I have 100 tapes in my office of people who want the job, but I remembered you. I remembered an award that you got for your work, and I want you to come and work on my news station. And so then I got a chance to be a TV reporter, and that was really my dream. That was something I had up on my vision board for like 3 years before it happened. And that's really where I learned how to get an audience's attention. When we talk about clients, when we talk about building a community of people that pay attention to our business, I really learned this from the best in the industry, from television, from how to get people to tune in every day at 5 p.m. for the newscast. And so I spent 2 years working in the outskirts of Maryland, just telling great stories. And part of that too came with not so great stories, crime and death and things that were not so great. And so that's when I got an idea. I was like, you know what? I could use this talent to help people grow their business. And so I left the television station. I started a business, and just long story short, the business failed because I didn't have any mentors that were really coaching me. I didn't really know what it is that that I needed to be able to do, to be able to really charge people, what it is that they needed to be charged. And I just didn't know how to run a business. And I quite frankly thought, oh, I have enough determination. It's just going to happen. And so that's really where things went. And I'm just getting distracted because someone just brought me some more tea, and I'm gonna just put some sugar in it so I can keep that close to me. But yeah, so that's really my background, and I went from there to actually be a director of media relations for one of the leading public safety agencies in Maryland, and that gave me really a like a a quick, I'm trying to think of the word. It gave me like an accelerated lesson in messaging and in crisis communication. And if you can just picture this with me, this is a picture from a press conference that I did. There's me with my iPad, because I'm all about doing things the tech way to make it easier on yourself. And so this was me at a press conference after a tornado had touched down in Maryland. And you see all of those microphones from all of those media outlets. It taught me how to be on TV and nail my message. If you watch Scandal or you watch Olivia Pope, this was like my life is crisis. Like there would be just all kinds of things happening because it was a public safety agency. And so one of the reasons why I'm so great at helping people with their message when it's not a crisis is because I've really been refined by fire. I've really been able to do it in the midst of a crisis exceptionally well. And that's my team behind me. I've been able to train teams and travel to conferences and talk about how we really developed out our plans and our messaging and our marketing and our social media. We actually won an award for social media excellence. And so I just share this not to impress you, but to impress upon you just that this is really something that I'm passionate about. I'm on a total mission to help entrepreneurs learn the things that I've been able to learn from my time as a reporter, from my time as a director of media relations, from my time really doing a lot of great work in this field. And so that's who you're sitting in on a webinar with. That's what it is that we're covering today, is how to use all of this expertise that I've been able to gather to really take your business to the next level. Okay? Because I'll tell you something, one of the reasons why I do what I do is because of these beautiful this beautiful, like these two beautiful little ones. When I got really serious about my business about 3 years ago, it was right before I had my son. And it's just, the world just changes when you become a parent. It's like I had an insatiable drive to want to just make an impact. I got tired of seeing all these negative stories in the news and all these, just, it's like jaded. It's like not it's like I wanted to be able to really create a better narrative, to really change the narrative for my family, for my kids. And I also wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to be present with my kids. My son is 2.5, and that's my daughter. It was just born 9 weeks ago. And so, she's like the light of our life right now. But that's really what I love doing. I love teaching entrepreneurs how to leverage the power of the media to be able to, first of all, get their mission and their passion out, but secondly, to be able to serve and really have the freedom that they want to be able to build their lives. Because I talk to so many amazing people with big vision, and I know that that vision can only happen if you have the right mentor, if you have the right coach and the right support. And so that's what this webinar is about, is how do you get a television producer's attention so that you can really take that passion and spread it like crazy. So with that, that's who I am. I want to go ahead and dive right into how do you get great publicity and great clients the easy way. So first and foremost, I'm going to just keep this simple, okay? What you need to do is that you need to go where the need is, and you have to be ready to serve. So what do I mean by that? Most times people are like, I don't even know where the need is. Jackie, I go where the need is. Okay, where is the need? That's the question. That's the big elephant in the room. And I'm going to get there in just a second. But what I want to tell you is that there is a need, okay? A lot of times you look at it from the perspective of, I need press coverage, I need publicity, I need to get my webs, and you kind of look at it from a place of lack. But I want you to really shift your perspective and understand that there is a need. The media has a need. And let me just tell you, when I was a television reporter, I was responsible for doing 2 stories a day, okay? Every day. It was whether it snowed, whether it rained, whether it was the weekend, whether it was Christmas. Yes, I used to work Christmas sometimes. That's how crazy it was. So there was a need. I was responsible for doing 2 stories a day, for that newscast at 5 o'clock that evening, having 2 stories on the news. And so there is a need at whatever publication you want to be featured in. They have a need because they are going to do that. They're going to put that magazine out every month, and every month that magazine has to have great headlines and great stories and great things so that people buy it and people read it. And so there is a need, and I need you to look at it from that perspective, okay? So now that you're shifting your perspective, and honestly, that's what those, people who coach with me over the course of a year, that's what they do. They really get an opportunity to shift their perspective so that they're in a place where they are seeing things in just from a completely different view. And that is what helps you grow your business. So I want you just to for this to be the first of many perspective shifts that we're going to have during this webinar. But there is a need. The press has a need. Okay. And so now that you know that, I want you to just put in your heart that you are going to be ready to serve, that you're going to be ready to meet that need and help. I remember working Christmas as a TV reporter, and it's like everyone else is celebrating Christmas. And unless something went wrong, it was like, what story can I put on the news? And there were many days where it was stressful trying to get to that, putting two stories on the news. And so I would have loved someone who would have just called me up and said, "Hey, Jackie, I have a story for you. This is happening in my business, or I want to share with you about this, vision or my book that's coming out." I would have loved for someone to do that. Okay. So, first and foremost, go where the need is and be ready to serve. Now, to get back to the question that you probably were asking a minute ago, which is, how do I find like where the need is? And this is the first way that I want to tell you to do that. There is a website out there called helpareporterout.com. And so this website actually has some of the biggest media outlets using it, places like Time and Reuters and New York Times and Fox News. It has a lot of listings of journalists who are looking for sources. They have upcoming stories that they're working on, or they have daily stories that they're working on, and they need a source. And so all you have to do is go to this website, set up an account, and look and see where you can help meet the need. And it's really that easy, okay? I'm keeping this very easy today. That is one of the first things that you can do. The second place that you can go in order to find the need is to Twitter. And so this is my Twitter account. If you're not following me on Twitter, you want to go ahead and do that because, I keep people up to date with what's going on. But this is another place where you can find out where the need is. What you need to do is you need to go to Twitter. And if you see up here in the area that I'm circling where it says search Twitter, what you're going to want to do is you want to put in that search hashtag PR request or hashtag journo request. So either one of those hashtags will give you a listing of people that have used that hashtag that have a need. They either have an article that they're working on, or they have a blog that they're putting out, and they need an actual credible source, someone who's experienced what it is that they're doing, or someone that is willing to talk about what it's like to be what it is that they're looking for. So that is a place to go in order to meet the need. And let me just share with you, in case you're tuning out and you're like, I don't have Twitter. You don't even need to have Twitter to do this. You can literally just go to twitter.com and search that hashtag, and it will bring you a listing that you'll be able to see. Now, of course, if you have Twitter, you can interact a little bit more and maybe ask questions about the specific request and things like that. But this is another place where the need is. And so I want to just put that on your radar because this is easy to do. This is really easy to do. You search it, you look for it, and then you make contact, and you're being ready to serve. So those are two great ways to be able to go ahead and help meet the need today in order to get you press coverage. The other thing that I want to encourage you to do, and this is more of a technique that I use, that I teach in our Inspire a Movement Experts Academy. This is one of and many techniques that we teach because we're really about helping people get press coverage month after month after month, and how to really set that up in their business so that it happens on a reoccurring basis. And so one of the other techniques that I use, and this is a great example, this is a success story that I had. That's actually me who took the picture of this. But what happens is that sometimes you'll find a media outlet that has covered something a year ago or 2 years ago, and you have some updated information or some new stats, or a new spin on it, what you can do is reach out to that media outlet and say, hey, I saw that you covered, let's just take domestic violence, because I've been talking to two women who've shared with me their vision about being spokespeople around domestic violence. And so let's say, for example, you see that your local TV station or your local magazine has covered a domestic violence story. And the last time they covered it was maybe a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I have an interesting story. I saw you covered this 2 years ago. I have an interesting story, an interesting update for you, or a new stat, or there's an event that's going on, or I have my own personal story. I'm ready to share my personal story around it. And I saw that you covered it in the past. And so I wanted to just make you the first station that I reach out to offer up an opportunity to interview me. And that's honestly what I did right here with this. This is one of my largest clients here in Maryland, and we had rolled out a new CPR program about 2 years ago, and the media came out and they covered it. And then fast forward to about a year ago, there was an update where we actually partnered with the school system to be able to put CPR training in all the schools. That's actually in one of the high schools in their band room, and you see the dummy, the practice dummies behind them. But we had an update. We were doing this great partnership. We were training all of the bus drivers. And so we reached out to the media and said, hey, we have this great update. We'd like for you, we want to see if you're interested. You covered it before. We want to see if you're interested. And sure enough, this was not even a press release. This was an afterthought. I literally just sent an email. We teach people in our academy how to send something called a story idea email. I just sent a quick story idea, and they emailed me back and not only said that they wanted to cover it, but they wanted to cover it live all morning long. So what that meant was that between the hours of 5 a.m. and 9 a.m., every 30 minutes, we were on the news. We were being featured, and it was live coverage. So if you can imagine what that would do for your business if every 30 minutes you were on the news, so that people just kept hearing about your business and kept hearing about your business and what it is that you do and how you do great things. I mean, it was phenomenal. And we hung out with the TV crew all that morning and took selfies and had a blast. It was so much fun. And so that is really what is possible when you use this technique. And it was just so many PR, social media blew up. I mean, it was just a huge buzz to be able to get that type of coverage. So that is another technique that you can use to be able to go where the need is. And I'd like to just point out here that you really have to be ready to serve, because in this case, when that television reporter got back to me, not only did they want to come out and cover it, but they wanted to come out and cover it they wanted us to be there at 4 a.m. And so I could have easily been like, nah, I'm too tired. That's too early. Can we do 7? Can we do 8? Can we do 9? No, he was a morning reporter, and so he had to have the live coverage on for the morning newscast. And so that's why it's important that as you go where the need is, that you're really ready to serve. You're going to get some crazy requests, but I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. We had a blast with this crew. So that's what you want to do, is be ready to serve. Let me just take a quick break just to grab my little one. She's waking up and she's still breastfeeding. So I'm just going to grab her for a sec. So maybe if we have enough time at the end of the webinar, I will show her to you, because she's just so precious, so little, so sweet. But she's on a breastfeeding schedule, and so there's no way that I could put aside too long a time without her needing to eat. Okay, so let's keep rolling with this. Okay, let's keep going with this, because I got a lot more things to cover. All right. So after you go with where the need is and you're ready to serve, and you use those 3 techniques that I just talked about, one of the things that I want to and this is just a bonus that I want to make sure that you're aware of. I want to make sure because again, I talk to so many business owners who just make it so hard. It's like so hard to invest in themselves and so hard to get press coverage and so hard to get clients. And what I know to be true after being in business and really being able to have some great success with it is that if you just get out of your own way and you just open up to the possibilities, it is just, I mean, what you will see unfold is amazing, okay? And so I don't know if you've already seen this story of mine, where they feature me, the news came out and featured me. But one of the things I want you to do is after you get all of this great coverage, I want to make sure that you let it work for you in your sleep. And what do I mean by that? You want to make sure that you are using this coverage and really just letting it roll, like letting people, you can include it in ways in your marketing and in your outreach so that people can see it and it increases your like, know, and trust. The more that people like you, the more that they get to know you, and the more that they trust you, the more likely it is that they will do business with you. And if you think about it, that's probably how you make decisions. There's a reason why I drive a BMW. And actually, I'm more of a Mercedes fan, but my husband's like BMW crazy. But it's because he likes BMW. He feels like he can trust it. He feels like it's a solid car. And so that's what you want to do is you basically, if you look at your life, you probably shop with brands that you either like, that you either know the brand or that you trust the brand. And so when we're talking about, and this is honestly a conversation for another webinar, when we're talking about branding and really creating a solid business, you want to make sure that you are using your press coverage to help really increase your like, know, and trust factor so that people feel like they can do business with you, that they want to be able to do business with you. Okay, so now that I've shared with you the fastest way to get a television producer's attention, I want to now talk about the number one action you need to take to make the most out of your TV appearances. And you guys hear her coughing a little. She's like eating all fast because she like loves nursing. So let's talk about the number one action you need to take to make the most out of your TV appearance. And for me, when I say make the most out of it, I'm talking about how do you get clients, okay? Because let's face it, you are not really in business if you don't have any clients. I mean, you're just playing business. If you've been in business and you don't have clients, you're playing business. And you need to get serious about how you're going to actually start working with people, okay? So that's why for me, it's important, it's key to help you take the press coverage that we just talked about and turn it into you getting clients. And one of the number one ways that I tell people to do that is that you have to give the audience a way to say yes to you. So what do I mean by that? When you're on TV or you're in a magazine or you're being featured in a blog, it's really only your 30 seconds of fame is what you're getting. Okay. And sometimes if you're lucky, it's 10 minutes of fame or it's a, month's worth of fame. But you want to take that audience that's looking at you or that's reading about you or that's, really hearing about what it is that you're doing. And you want to give them an opportunity to say yes to connecting with you even after that television episode is done. And so let me just break this down practically. Let me share an example with you of one of our clients. Her name is Florence. She's actually based in the Netherlands. So when we meet, we actually meet via Skype and, just that's another way that, when I talk about connecting globally and taking your business global, you want to go ahead and get a Skype account because that allows you to meet with clients in other parts of the world, and that's really, you could be a wardrobe, a stylist and meet with clients and help them with their wardrobe across the world. I mean, there's really not a lot of, I was just talking to someone who wants to get more exposure as a vegan chef. And I'm like, you can be teaching clients clients, from your kitchen, from their kitchen using Skype. And so I love using Skype to connect with clients, and I love also using video. And I'll tell you, the moment you decide to learn how to do great video and to really be able to share your expertise on video, the moment people will feel so much more connected to you, and you will see your income go up. I'm digressing, but anyway, getting back to how you get a client to actually, how do you actually get clients from that television appearance? And this is a good example with Florence. So Florence had a traditional jewelry business. And that's why I say what I'm sharing is not just for coaches and not just for authors, but even for people who have tangible products that they're selling, these strategies work. And so Florence's business was really in helping people, or actually in and actually basically designing necklaces of precious stones. And so when we first started working with her, she and just give me 1 second, my little one's nose is stuffed up. When we first started working with her, we actually she actually had clients that would buy from her jewelry shop, her website, once in a blue moon. And she really had no way to know how much business was coming in and how it was that she actually was able to really figure out on a monthly basis how much money she was bringing in. And so one of the things we did through our work together was we actually created some free resources for her to put on her website. And what do I mean by a free resource? In Florence's case, there were two that we worked on. One was an ebook that was just a few pages long, but it was about did you guys hear my little one burp? I'm like burping her and she's over here doing her thing. So I may show you guys her in a second if anyone wants to see the little one, because I know when I talk to people, they're all excited about seeing her and, asking me how she's doing. And just so you know, she's doing incredible. She's 12 pounds already, and the pediatrician says that she is doing great. So anyway, I digress. I want to get back to what I'm talking about with Florence. So one of the things that we did with Florence was that we helped her create a free resource, two of them. One was an ebook that was about the 54 crazy and fascinating facts about birthstones in the world. And it basically was like everything you need to know about your birthstone and more. And this worked for her business because what she did was that, she's retired. Her business is like her post-retirement business. And what she does is she travels the world collecting these beautiful gemstones and precious metals and creating these necklaces. And so it just made sense that people who are buying them would want to know something about their birthstone. So we helped her create that ebook. And then she also had another thing that you could get as a resource, and that was how to find the right necklace, because she had necklaces of different shapes and sizes. And, as women, it's like you put an outfit on and you're like, okay, does this go with my outfit? How do I accessorize this the best way? And so she basically designed a book that helped you with like your face structure and what you're wearing that day and how to pick a necklace that went with it. So these were two incredible resources that she offered her clients. And what it did was that instead of clients just coming to her website, buying a necklace and leaving and maybe remembering about her, 6 months from now or a year from now, they came to her website, signed up for her free resource, bought a necklace, and got on her email list. And now what she does is that she sends out updates, specials, product discounts, new products that she has. And what that has done is that it's given people an opportunity to say yes to staying connected with her, to staying in her database of clients. And so for Florence, this took her from selling one necklace to a potential client, which, her necklaces range from about $70 to $100 or $150, but selling one necklace to having repeat clients. And so if you think about the lifetime value of one client, if she can get one client to not just buy from her once, but buy from her again and again and again, that allowed her to be able to really change the way her business was happening. And so that's the power of a free resource, is that you get on TV, you're able to get that exposure. And while you're on TV, you want to offer that free resource. You want to say, hey, if you want to learn more about your career and how to take your career to the next level, I have a free resource that'll tell you, the number one way to get your boss to give you a raise. Do you think that all those people that are watching who've been paying attention to your segment won't be like, oh, wow, I want that free resource? Absolutely. And so that's what you want to do, is that you want to offer a free resource. And this works well even for book authors. I have a lot of clients who've either published a book or who want to publish a book. And so this is another technique that we use with them as well. And this is a great example. This is Laura Lane, who was in our Inspire a Movement Experts Academy last year. And she has a book that's writing about her daughter with childhood cancer. It's called Two Mothers, One Prayer, and just what that journey was like. And when we first started working with her, and she talked about wanting to help families that have kids with cancer, she had had a book launch, but it really wasn't successful, and she wanted to relaunch her book. And so one of the things that we suggested for her was to create a free resource. And so her free resource is actually a chapter of the book. And it works brilliantly, because what people do is that they see her, she's organizing an international event now, on a summit, where she's interviewing all these incredible people. And when they see her and they see her work and they hear her speak, she can then say, if the book at all interests you, or if you at all, want to know more about my story, I have a great free resource, which is a free chapter of my book. And then instead of just being interviewed and leaving and being like, oh, that was a nice story, people actually go and sign up for her free resource. And as a result, they're able to stay connected with her and become clients. And so that is the number one action that you need to take, because that is what's going to change your efforts of getting publicity to efforts that actually translate into getting a client. Okay, so that's what I want to share. And I also want to talk a little bit about not only how do you get clients, but how do you leverage publicity so that it means more credibility and brand recognition for you. How do you do that? So one of the ways that you do that, and this is one of our other clients, Dr. Janine Staples, she too, when we first started working, she had a book that was coming out. And she also has done a TED Talk, and we've gotten her coverage, on some of her local media. And so one of the things that, she does that I've worked with her on is that she actually features her coverage on her website, but she also features her coverage in her email signature. And so that's one of the things you want to do, is use the coverage that you've gotten and make sure that you are featuring it on social media, on your website, in your emails, in all of your marketing. Because what that's going to do is that you get an email from her for the first time and you're like, wait, she's done a TED Talk? And then people start to pay attention a lot more. And if you're someone who, wants to be able to hire someone, chances are you're going to hire her because you see all the stuff that she's done, and it really creates more credibility around her work. Okay. So that is often another problem that clients have, is that they want to be able to do great work, but they just need some credibility around them to be able to do that. And, sometimes people think the solution to that is going to go get a certification, a coaching certification, or, going to go take this expensive thing. And you don't need that. You can accomplish that without, most times you get certifications just because you don't believe in your ability. And what I'm here to share with you is that you getting some press coverage and using that press coverage can really save you the money of a certification, because most times you go get a certification and you still are in the same problem you're at now, which is, how do you get clients? And so one of the ways that you increase your brand recognition and your credibility with clients is from press coverage. And being able to use that press coverage to share your message and share your mission and really reach a lot of people. So that's one way. Another way is this is one of my beautiful clients, Egypt. I like love her. She's one of my private clients. And she came into town. We did a mastermind with our program, people in our program last year here in Maryland. And we did a celebrity style photo shoot for each of them. And so one of the ways, and I snapped this picture because one of the things that you need to be thinking about is as you're doing, press coverage, as you're doing interviews, as you're being featured in the media, is that you also want to take pictures of and really share about the behind the scenes, because chances are, if you were to get a picture of you being interviewed on a media set or, doing what it is that you do, media and people that are following you and clients that are looking at you, they are also taking note of that as well. And what do you think? Do you think it's easier to get if you're a TV producer and you want to interview someone, would you pick the coach who's posting about the fact that they're out there doing other interviews, or would you pick the coach that has never done an interview before? It's just simple logic. You're going to pick the coach that you're like, okay, I have this spot on Super Soul Sunday that just became available. Am I going to pick the person who looks like they know what they're going to do if I put them on set? Or am I going to pick the person who doesn't even know where to look at the camera and what to do? It's just simple logic. And so one of the things you want to be doing in order to build your credibility and your recognition is to also show the behind the scenes that you're doing. As you're doing these interviews, take pictures with the reporters. Take a picture of them interviewing you. Make sure that you get that type of those type of images and those type of stories as well, because that's just going to increase your credibility and your brand recognition. You really are going to distinguish yourself out there from all the other people in your industry who do what you do by being able to really show the behind the scenes. And then you also want to make sure that you're sharing it on social media. A lot of times this was a media event that I organized just before I went on maternity leave. And, I just posted a quick post on social media. It's a wrap, last media press event I'm organizing before heading out to give birth. Happy to report 5 of the 6 major media outlets in the region were in attendance. So I say that's ending on a high note. That was a press conference that we did. And, I actually, to give you guys a quick secret, I'm going to talk about this later on how to guarantee press coverage. But this was a day that we started the event. We didn't know who was showing up. We had no clue if any media was going to come. And I used the technique I'm going to give you at the end of this webinar. And then cameras started showing up. Cameras started popping up. So I'm going to talk about how to do that. But I share that because what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're sharing about those things on social media as well, because it just helps your credibility and it helps the brand recognition. People are like, wow, she really is serious about the business that she's running. She really is serious about whatever it is that you're, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're passionate about. People are going to really see you on a different level, and you're going to really be able to get some great doors open because of that. There's a reason why even now when I walk the streets of Frederick, people know who I am. When I make a phone call and I ask, for something, or I need to get a resource, people are like, oh yeah, you're the reporter, or you're the one who, and it really makes people pay attention, because it allows you to be seen as someone who's a serious player in your industry. And so that's really what I want for you. So the last thing I want to tell you to do is, after you get all this great coverage, you want to start to build up an as seen in banner, because that too increases your perceived value. If I'm coming to your website for the very first time and I've never heard of you, but I see that CNN has covered you and Good Morning America and ABC, it's like, well, she must know something. She must know what she's talking about if she's been featured on the media. So you get that value by association. Because all of these media outlets have been around so long, they have a certain amount of credibility themselves, so you get the value by association. So that's one of the things that you want to make sure that you do. So let me just stop here and just share with you the reason why what I'm talking about matters. And it's because if you were to actually go out and hire a PR firm and you were to pay their retainer fees, now this is not even what they would charge you to do a media event for you or do done for you press releases or things. If you just were to retain them to represent you and to reach out to you here and for you here and there, it would cost you upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Okay. And so I want to just impress upon you the reason why it's so important that you not just listen to what I'm talking about, but that you actually take the strategies that I've shared with you, the tools that I've shared with you, and put them into practice. Because what's going to happen is that if you get one month of coverage, if you just get featured once or twice over the next 30 days, it's going to save you $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And sometimes it's even more for a top tier PR firm. Okay. So you're talking about saving upwards of $20,000 a month just by taking and applying what I've shared over the next month. And then I want to go one step further. Not only is it going to save you $5,000 to $10,000 a month, but you also are going to, if you take the part about how to, give me one second. If you take the part about how to get a client and you're able to walk away with some clients, it's going to make you $5,000 to $10,000 a month. I mean, typically, if you are pricing yourself right and you're pricing yourself for what you really should be valued for, it should not take that many clients to get you to a $5,000 a month, a 5K a month basically. So and if you're not, then you want to talk to me about how to strategically price your services and how to set your business up so that it's operating for you at a way that you can really live a life. And so I find that it normally takes at least 60,000 for, they say that it takes at least $60,000 for people to be happy, and anything plus that is just really icing on the cake. So I just share that because I want to impress upon you the value of what it is that we're talking about. That if you are able to take what I've shared and just get featured once next month, that's going to save you what it would cost you to actually hire a PR firm. And if you were to get featured and offer the free resource that we've talked about and actually get to a place where you are, bringing in clients, that's going to make you a few thousand a month. Okay. So that's the importance of this. That's why I'm so passionate about great publicity and great clients the easy way. Okay. Because it really is an incredible return on investment. So I want to now talk to you about how do you avoid the common mistakes that can really cost you from being featured, because that was one of the things that I saw happen all the time. You do all this work, you try to get featured, and it just doesn't go so great. And so I want to talk to you really quickly about that. I'm actually going to just hit pause for a quick second. You guys give me just a second. I want to give my little one to her grandmama so that she can take care of her now that I've fed her. So just hold on one second. Hey, Mom, can you grab Mia for me? I just put it on pause. Okay, so I'm back. So tails and being a new mom and also running a business. I normally don't do webinars this early because, the little one is just kind of waking up and all that. But I know that you guys can understand. And honestly, that's the blessing of this is that, I'm going to do the webinar. I have a few folks that have booked. I actually have a full day of bookings today. I think I maybe have 1 or 2 spots open, but it's like we're going to flow. We're going to do that, and just kind of keep rolling with it. So it's amazing. So anyway, I want to talk to you about how to avoid some of the common mistakes that can cost you big time, because I can tell, most of you that I've spoken with that are on this webinar, I know that you are committed, to what it is that you're doing. I know that you probably have just an incredible passion. I mean, I remember when I was first like trying to start a business, I wanted it so bad that I could taste it. It's like I knew that I needed to be doing something different. I knew that what I was doing wasn't working. And I just wanted, like, my prayer for about a year was like, just show me what it is that I can do that I can be really of service to the world and being able to be in my purpose. I prayed a prayer for a while actually, that was like, God, if you just show me the strategy, I promise I'll do the work. Because I knew I had these talents, I knew I had these things that, that I did well, but I didn't know how to, like, the strategy. Like, I saw people doing what I wanted to do, but I didn't really know the strategy behind how to do it. And so I remember praying for almost a year. I was like, God, if you just give me a strategy, if you just tell me like how to put the pieces together, I will do the work. And so I know that so many people that I talk to, that might be the situation that you're in, that you just want, the strategy, you want the pieces to the puzzle. And so I don't want you to go this far of doing the work to get the publicity and to have a free resource and to get the clients and to reach out to the media only to mess it up by making a mistake. So I want to talk about the things that can actually cost you big time when it comes to being able to get publicity. And first and foremost, it's that you don't have easy to find contact information. And what do I mean by that? Often on your website or on your social media, on your Facebook page, you want to make sure that you have easy to find contact information. Most times when I was a reporter, I would like get an idea for a story, or I would be assigned an idea for a story. And let's take one that's easy. Like, one of the stories that we would probably do around this time is, with Hillary Clinton being one of the female candidates, first time female candidate for the presidential seat. It's like we would maybe go out and do a story about women who are the first at something. And so I would find someone who fits the bill, who fits the description, and all excited to go interview them. And there's no contact information. It's like they either don't have their email listed, or they have a phone number that just keeps going to voicemail that no one's answering. And it's like, I have to get this story done by 5 o'clock today. And so I would spend till about midday trying to reach out to them, and then I just would move on. And I see that happen all the time. I was just reaching out to someone that had reached out to me last year, and it's like, I'm like clicking on every tab on her website. And then I'm like, well, maybe it's on Facebook. And I go to Facebook and I pull up her business Facebook page, and I'm like looking around and can't find her contact info. And so you want to make sure that you avoid the mistake. You want to make sure that you have your contact stuff set up so well that if Oprah calls you tomorrow, or if Oprah is looking for someone who does what you do tomorrow, that they can reach out to you and find you. And I know some people are like, well, I don't want to be out there. I don't want my phone number out there. Go ahead. Let me give you a quick tip, okay? Go ahead and get a Google Voice number. They're free. You can get a Google Voice number. You can forward that number to your actual cell phone or whatever number you want, and that you can set it up so that it can ring as a forward, so that your personal number is not out there, and you can turn Google Voice on and off. There's another app I use all the time called Sideline. My husband hooked me up with that one. That's another one, Sideline. And that gives you an alternate number. And you can also, just as an app, it can ring your phone. You can make outgoing calls. You can make ingoing calls. You can text from it. These are great tools. I mean, there's so many tools out there that I could tell you about that probably save you like thousands of dollars in your business of headache. But those are two. You want to make sure that you have easy to find contact info. You also want to make sure that the story is visual. And we don't have a lot of time to talk about that today, but quite simply, you want to make sure that if you're talking about, like, for example, a new water slide, that you have the reporter meet you where the water slide is so that they can get a visual, they can get the video of the water slide. Or if you have someone you're talking about, I just brought on a new client who's passionate about helping moms with families and with birth. And so we were talking, mapping out her press strategy and talking about the fact that, if we, as we book her on some of these TV shows, we need an actual visual and example of someone whose life has, or that their birth was made easier as a result of the resources that her organization provides. Or, she's talking about doing belly henna on pregnant bellies and things like that, that we have someone who can actually come and do that. And so you want to make sure that the reporter has the pieces that they need, that the story is visual, okay? You want to also be willing to operate on their schedule, okay? You want to make sure that that you are willing sometimes to get up early in the morning or to stay late or whatever it takes to be able to help them meet their deadline, because that will not only get you covered that day, but it will allow them to come back. I would love, like, there would be times when I didn't have a story and I would just call up someone who made it easy for me, who I knew that they would be willing to work with me to operate on my time schedule, and say, hey, what do you got going on in your business? What can I feature? And that's the kind of relationship you want to get in with the media. And that's one of the reasons why in our academy, we actually bring in reporters and producers and editors so that you can start to build that relationship with them just by being, a part of our program. And so that's what you want to do, is that you want to make sure that you're going to operate on their schedule so that it's easy for them. And let me just give you something to write down. One of the ways that you do this is that you actually, when they call you and they say, hey, I want to interview you, or hey, I got your email and I want to come out and do something, you want to ask them this question. You want to ask them, what is your deadline? Make sure to write that down. What is your deadline? And what that's going to do is that they're going to answer, and they'll say, well, my deadline is to get this written by, such and such morning at 5 or whatever. They're going to tell you what the deadline is, and then that'll give you some idea about how you can work it out to work on their schedule. Sometimes they're going to say, my deadline is today at 5. That's what I would say a lot of times. I would literally go to work that morning, get assigned a story, and have to turn it in by 5 o'clock. And so in those cases too, sometimes that might require you reworking things or rescheduling things, but it's worth it if you can, the return on investment that we talked about, it's worth it. You also want to make sure, one of the biggest mistakes I see is that someone gets coverage and they just mess it up. It's like they don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. They look crazy. They wearing the wrong outfit. You want to make sure that you avoid the mistake of doing an interview that's not good. So you want to make sure that you get the practice in. You want to make sure that you are actually able to talk about your message and talk about your vision in a way that connects with the audience. I mean, these are all skills that it takes practice at. That's one of the reasons why when I help people get press coverage, we sometimes start with doing some of the smaller press opportunities to give them some comfortability so that as we practice, you get good at it. And then once you get good at it, you get great at it. And so that's really important too, as far as avoiding the common mistakes. And then lastly, you just want to make sure that the interview is actually newsworthy, that it's something that's interesting, that it's either new or compelling, or it solves a problem, or it's the first, because you don't want the reporter to get there and they're like, that wasn't a story. We're going to scrap this story, or we're going to just take 2 sentences. I had someone who just joined our academy who told me, she's like, I spent an hour on the phone with them and they only took 2 sentences of what I said. And, I see that happen all the time. And I can tell you what happens is that they come out, they do the interview. Either it's not good, it's not a good interview, or they come out and do it and they really can't make a story out of it. And so they're like, let's scrap it, let's pull it. Or they're like, let's just not do it altogether. And so that's what you want to do. Now, there are like more than 100 mistakes that you can make when it comes to interacting with the media. I've done my best to give you 5 of the top ones, but I want to make sure that you are in a place where you don't put your foot in your mouth and that you actually can get the press coverage that you seek. Because often when people tell me publicity doesn't work, most times it's either that they don't know how to do it or they do it and then they make a mistake that really costs them the opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why I actually am reopening the doors. I'm excited to announce that I'm reopening the doors to my I Am Inspire a Movement Experts Academy. And so this academy is just an incredible, I'm so excited about the people that are stepping into it and the people that have already said yes to it, because it is an opportunity for you to really learn how to, first of all, get press coverage. And then after you get the press coverage, how to put the systems in place and put the tools in place so that you can really capitalize on bringing in clients. And so that is what the Academy is all about. And we spend the first half of the year really working on teaching you how to do press releases, teaching you how to reach out to the media, teaching you how to do media interviews. And then from there, after the first 90 days of doing that, we then show you how to put the systems in place and how to really get to a place where you have clients that are flowing into your business. Because what I know is that most television outlets have millions of viewers watching and they just have an influx. Their websites get tons of hits. And so what I like to do is really position a business to capitalize on that influx of traffic that is already coming to the media and get some of that traffic coming their way, flowing their way, so that you can really have clients who say yes to working with you. So that's what we do during the first half of the academy. And then the second half of the academy is teaching you how to really be a solid broadcaster, kind of like what I'm doing, how to do a webinar that really converts and really provides value, how to do videos and how to send out emails and how to really appear so that you're confident, so that your messaging is on point, and so that you really are not marketing to dead silence, okay? So if you've ever sent an email out or did a live stream or did a Facebook Live and it's like dead silence out there, this academy is going to help you with that. And so just to give you a glimpse of what it is that we're talking about, I'm just going to kind of run down. One of the things that we do in this academy is really help position you so that you can take your business to the next level. So what I want to do is, if this sounds like something that you're interested in, I want you to go ahead and book a publicity starter session with me, because I'm a big believer that you're not on this webinar. You could have spent your morning doing so many other things, but you're here because this is the opportunity for you to be able to take things to the next level. So you see there on your screen, the tinyurl.com/publicity starter session. I want you to go ahead and pull that up and go ahead and book some time to talk to me, because I know that you can get your message out there by letting us help you create an entire movement around the gifts that you are meant to share. That is what's possible. I know the impact that publicity has had on my life and on my clients' lives. And it isn't about getting publicity just so that you can toot your own horn, although it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun doing interviews and being seen front and center. It's really about helping you get publicity so that you can change the world, inspire people, and charge more for your services, and honestly have freedom. Okay? So you're exactly the type of person that I want if you're committed to your success and if you know that your time is now. This invitation is only for those people who are tired of wasting time and who are tired of just thinking about it and who are really ready to rock and roll. So go ahead now and click the link that you see on your screen. I really can't make it any easier than that. What we're going to do is talk about your strategy and see if you're a good fit. because not everyone is a good fit to be in this. I'm really working with people who have a big mission, who want to get their message out, and who are ready to bring clients into their business. If you want to be like me, who spent a whole year, like a failed attempt at business, and then a whole year trying to figure it out and not be confused, and this is not for you. This is for the person who really values being able to do things the easy way by getting the help. One of my favorite stories is, or my favorite clients is Dr. Janine Staples, who I talked about earlier. She's done a TED Talk. She has a new book that just came out. And after working with me, she built a community of over 3,000 women through an international summit that she helped organize. This got her featured on the media and created leverage in her business so that she could free up some of her time as a busy professor. And then there's Laura Lane, who is the mom that I talked about who lost her daughter to cancer. During the course of our year together, Laura renovated her website. It was too cluttered and it had a whole bunch of craziness going on. And she also got inspired to relaunch her book. And now she's working on an event where she's being featured with some of the top leaders in pediatric care and cancer research. Her dream is to really take her experience and her life story and help other parents get the care and support during one of the most difficult times, really dealing with a child with cancer. So if you remember, if you were to hire a PR firm, it would cost you upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 a month. That's crazy, right? Someone like Laura, who just wants to help other families, would not be able to afford that. And so that's why the Inspire a Movement Experts Academy is such a smart investment. It's a 12-month program, and it really is robust in that for just $72.99, you're going to have a skill that most entrepreneurs do not have. And that is leveraging the biggest media sources out there to get an influx of clients coming your way. That's really what the Academy is built for. And so let me just talk to you about what's included in it. And I want you we talked about shifting your perspective. So before you talk yourself out of making one of the best decisions you've ever made in your business, let me share with you what you get. You get press coverage. And I'm talking month after month after month, like literally you being featured month after month after month and having a lot of fun doing it. In the Academy, we meet twice a month for a live training call to teach you how to do it. Plus, the calls are recorded, so you can go back and listen anytime. We just signed someone up who's overseas in Nigeria. It's a different time zone. But the fact that you can re-listen anytime just makes it a great asset. You also get private coaching. You get 4 sessions with me throughout the year. And I'm going to show you how do you need to hold yourself in a video? How do you need to speak? How do you get clear on your messaging? How to dress? How do you become an influencer so that everything you broadcast on social media, on webinars, on live streams is highly, highly powerful so that people take you as a credible source? We host live events where I bring in some of the greatest trainers in the world to train you. And I use my connections that I've built in the industry for more than 10 years now to give you direct access to the gatekeepers themselves. I'm talking about producers and reporters and editors who come in, and you get to hear from them, what the industry's like and how to, ask them, what do they think about this story and that story. So imagine how easy it would make it for you if you were to really just send a press release and get covered if you had my Rolodex of contacts. That's really what I'm offering. Plus, we teach you how to create webinars, how to create your free resource, and how to really put together like killer content that shows you as the online powerhouse that you are. And if you're thinking, I already know how to do a webinar, I already know how to send an email, I'm telling you that when I share with you the secrets that we use in the television industry to really get an audience to pay attention and buy from you, you are going to realize just what is possible for you and really be grateful because you never have to put anything out there again that looks like crap. Okay. I know some people who are like, my stuff looks like crap. So this is what I want to help you with. This is what really helps me, just brings me so much joy. Because it really gives me just an opportunity to serve in an incredible way. Um, I almost forgot. We have one other feature with the Academy, and that is around the clock support and network opportunities via our Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group, and I got to tell you, I love all the community that is built with the participants in the Academy. So you're able to really get out of your comfort zone and have that extended support system to cheer you on. So let me help you save, five to $10,000 that you would be spending if you were to actually hire a PR firm or hire a marketing firm. And let me help you, let me show you what I've been able to do to help companies make millions every year. And that's really by leveraging the power of the press. One media interview alone will save you the cost of having someone do it for you. And what I'm offering you is to teach you a skill that most entrepreneurs don't have. So I want to just encourage you to really think about how you can get focused and make the next 30 days a turning point for you. Okay. So, I did want to pause for some questions, but what I'm going to have you do, because the chat feature is not on this webinar, is that I want to have you go ahead and just shoot me a reply if you have any questions about the program or questions about the publicity coverage strategies that I shared on this webinar. So you can go ahead and shoot me an email, but I also can take the opportunity for us to talk on the publicity starter session, for you to be able to get any questions answered that you have. Okay, because what I know for sure is that if you're on this webinar, you see the value in being able to get publicity, and you see the value in being able to actually get some help. I know when I first attended a webinar where it just made sense, it wasn't some pie in the sky, it was an easy strategy that just made sense, that the difference it made by me actually taking it and applying it. And I don't want you to be like I did. When I first sat on that webinar, I'm going to just be transparent with you. I literally took great notes. I was like, okay, I can do this. And then what did I do? I left the webinar. I put the notes in my drawer, and I kept saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to it. And before you know it, it was 6 months later before I finally went back to those notes and dusted it off and did it. I was just too busy. I was too busy, honestly, being broke, like too busy thinking that what I was doing was going to work for me to really take what I got and say yes to the opportunity that was in front of me. And so I was one of those people. I left the webinar, I put the notes, I was excited about it for a day. And then you know what happens, that excitement kind of fizzles out. It fizzles out. And then before I knew it, it was 6 months later and I was pregnant, and I was in a more desperate place to really make my business work. And that's when I dusted off those notes. And then I did another mistake. I tried to do it myself. I was like, okay, I'm going to take what they gave me and I'm going to try to do it myself. And even though I did it, and I was, it was fun. I had some success with the strategy that I was using at the time. It wasn't until I actually said yes to being in the program that what I did got me about 30 people who attended this thing that I was putting on. And when I actually got some help by being in the program, I had 2,500 people attend. That was the difference, okay? And so I share this with you honestly just to be transparent. I'm on a total mission to help people get their story out there and to get them to a place where they can really have the freedom and have the success that they want. Because if you're like me, you have a family or you have people that are depending on you to make it. And so I want to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. I'm telling you, you can take what we've talked about today on this webinar and it will work. You will get publicity, you will get covered. But if you go one step further and hop into this academy, look at all we covered in 1 hour. Imagine what a mentorship, a coaching program, a high level coaching program that's holding your hand through the places where you normally stop. Imagine what that would be worth to you. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and sign up for a publicity starter session. All you have to do is type the URL tinyurl.com/publicity starter session into the browser. You can go ahead and do that now. I'll wait for you. And then after you do that, you're going to see my calendar pull up. Now, like I said, I'm about 95% booked for the rest of the day, but you might see 1 or 2 spots open, and I encourage you to jump on it. Take it. If you don't see a spot's open today, because I know we've been getting some people signing up even while we're on the webinar, I want you to go ahead and just look for the next closest day. Okay. And if you have questions in between that time, or if you're like, Jackie, we need to speak today, go ahead and just hit me a reply and I will do my best to get to you today. Okay. But I want to encourage you to really take this opportunity because I know what an impact it can have. Okay. So with that said, I want to go ahead and I want to reward those of you who have stayed on to the very end. I'm a woman who keeps my promises, and you'll find that when we coach together that there's not just the what you get with the program, but we like to include a lot of great bonuses because I know how hard and I know how difficult it is to grow a business. And so we go above and beyond to make sure that you really have the support because I believe it's not just about people who show up, but it's about seeing what you start through to the end. And so with that, I want to reward those of you who stayed on to the end of this webinar. With this one strategy here that has literally made all the difference when it comes to me being able to really get some great coverage for my clients. That's how do you guarantee coverage? So here's what you do. What you do in order to guarantee press coverage is that after you've sent your story idea or after you've sent your press release or after you've made contact to the reporter, you want to actually call that reporter or call that news station or call that editor and check normally the day before or the day of, and just check with whoever answers the phone. Typically, you want to talk to the assignment editor because that's the one who's in charge of making sure that the assignments are, assigned basically. And you want to ask them, you want to say, hey, I'm calling, I have this event, or I had this story that I share with your reporter. Has it been assigned on the assignment calendar? That's the term that you want to use. I just wanted to check and see if a reporter has been assigned on the assignment calendar because the assignment calendar is what they use to actually schedule what they're going to go out and cover that day. And unless something blows up or unless there's a shooting or unless something drastically major happens, like breaking news happens, that is what they're going to use to assign their reporters that day. And so what you want to do is call them the day of or call them the day before, talk to the assignment editor and remind them. I've done this and I've had some times when they're like, wait a second, I don't think we got that release or I don't think we know about it. What is it again? And that's then your opportunity to be prepared with 3 reasons why your story is newsworthy. And so, we teach people exactly how to, what helping them kind of brainstorm. And we even can help practice this conversation because I know for some people it takes some practice before you actually feel comfortable doing this. But I can tell you this strategy here is what I used for that event I told you about earlier that I did before I went on maternity leave. We were putting together a water safety demo for this client. And that morning, I hadn't heard from anybody. I didn't know if any reporters were coming to cover it. And here we are. We got the mic stand, we got the demo boats, we got the life jackets, we got everything. But I didn't know if any reporters were coming. And I literally got out of my list of contacts and called the stations. And I'm like, hey, hey, WJZ, hey, NBC, just wanted to check in, are you guys planning to come out and cover the demo that we have going? And I'm telling you, we went from having no commitments as far as who was coming to getting 5 of the major outlets there. And one of the outlets came from another jurisdiction that normally did not cover that area, but they had nothing going on. They had a need that day because they didn't have a story to cover. And they're like, that sounds like fun. That sounds newsworthy. We're going to send someone over there. So that is how you guarantee coverage, is by actually making the calls that day to see who's planning. And if they're not planning, basically sharing with them the reasons why they need to be there. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Like I said, that's why we have the academy. I mean, there are so many best practices that we teach, so many things that you're able to do, not just from the publicity side of things, but also from the standpoint of having the technology and the tools in place so that when you're getting this coverage, you have the right funnel in place, the right systems in place to actually have clients coming in. So like I said, I love doing this. I want to have you go ahead and sign up to talk with me. And that's one reason why I'm not having you buy on this webinar. I want to make sure that we are having a very high caliber of people in this academy, because I want to invest my time and energy into people who really can see themselves being on Oprah, and who really can see themselves being on CNN and really being featured in a way that changes lives, because that's really what I'm passionate about. At this stage in my life with 2 little ones, one you heard earlier as I was feeding her, I want to be with people who have an abundance mindset and who are going to be the movers and shakers in their industry. That's really what I'm about. So I don't want to have you buy. I don't have you having a way to, put your deposit down right now. And I mean, we have a flexible payment plan. So I don't have you putting a deposit down right now, because I want you to talk to me and ask me some questions. I want to ask you some questions, and I want to see if we're a good fit. And if we are a good fit, I'm going to extend an invitation to you to be one of the few. We're basically only taking a very limited number of people. And I don't say that to, as a sales technique. I say that because I only have so much of a bandwidth. And I want to make sure that we are really pouring everything that we can into this group, because that's going to be the group that you're going to see featured on some of these big outlets over the next few months. And so I want to make sure that you're a right fit for this program, that we really can take your business and really help it go global. And if you're not a good fit, then I might recommend to you, it's still a win-win, because I might recommend to you someone else out there who might be able to really get you to where you want to go. So go ahead, pull up the link and go ahead and book a session with me. We'll see, if we're a good fit, and go from there. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your morning with me. And I look forward to helping you get featured, to get some great publicity and some great clients made easy. So have a great rest of the day. I'm going to go ahead and hop on some calls. I see that a bunch of you have signed up and booked time with me. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you later. Okay, take care. Bye.